Welcome to a BCS and Women Returners joint event. My name is John Jeffrey and I head up our community team at BCS. For those of you following live, you can use the Q&A function to ask questions. You can also use the chat to interact with other viewers, and time permitting, we'll be taking questions at the end of discussion. So in this webinar, Holly Porter, Managing Director of BCS Institute, and Julianne Miles, CEO of Women Returners, will be discussing the STEM ReCharge programme, an initiative to enable experienced professionals with tech and engineering backgrounds in the North of England and Midlands to return to their careers after caring-related breaks of a year or more. So to get started, I'd like to hand over to Holly. Welcome, Holly.
Hi, everybody. Welcome, Julianne. I'm delighted that we've managed to find time for this chat. I know it's a very, very busy time for you at the moment. So just for the benefit of everybody, the reason that we've got the session today is because I heard about the programme that you're running, STEM ReCharge, and I thought it was hugely timely, and it's something that potentially our members will be really interested in getting involved in. So today is all about a bit of a share and a bit of background, and just to let you know how you can get involved. So when we first met, we were talking about all of the opportunities to get into the profession and how different groups need different types of support, and it really resonated with what we're trying to do here at BCS in terms of supporting different routes into the profession and helping everybody to thrive. And I think the STEM ReCharge programme, from my perspective, is hugely timely. We've got a big focus from our employers on the talent shortage that we're hearing about, in terms of, I think there's 50,000 open vacancies at any time in tech. And certainly with people that I talk to all the time, you know, people are starting to be really creative about how to grow their own talent, where to look. And then you've got this great government ambition as well about becoming the Silicon Valley of Europe. So the stars seem to have aligned around the timing of this programme, hence this discussion today. So if I could just start by, Julianne, could you just introduce yourself a little bit and talk about Women Returners and why you set that up in the first place?
Absolutely, Holly, and thanks very much for inviting me along today to talk about STEM ReCharge. So I'm Julianne Miles. I'm CEO of Women Returners, which is an organisation I co-founded back in 2014, so nearly a decade ago now. And my background, I started off in corporate strategy business, took a 4-year career break, retrained as a chartered psychologist, and had my own practice and started supporting a number of friends, people I met locally who'd taken long career breaks and were really struggling to find their way back to work. And I realized that there was a much bigger challenge here, and the challenge is what we call the career break penalty, and that's what we're trying to tackle. So I founded Women Returners in 2014, very much with the mission of just normalizing career breaks, removing any stigma around career breaks, and recognizing that, and I think this is very much as lives get longer, as we work longer and we live longer, that most of us are going to want to take or need to take career breaks for childcare, for elder care, for health, for relocation, frankly, possibly for burnout. And we need to get a route. And I think it's a vital issue for tech, and because we have been trying for so long to get greater diversity in tech, to get more women into tech, and yet when they leave, when they step out, we have not been welcoming them back in. So that's our mission. That's how we work. We, in our everyday work at Women Returners, we're a social business. We have a large network. We support 8,000 professional women on career break across sectors. We partner with over 150 employers to create supported routes back to work in terms of returnships. And then we do this government funded work we're going to be talking about today.
Brilliant. And I think there's a lot more awareness now of this as a really kind of vibrant route to get people back into the profession. And certainly as BCS, it absolutely fits with our own priorities around more diversity and inclusion in the workplace. And also our BCS Women Group, for example, have talked a lot about returners, and I know they're planning something later in the year, and there are other returner groups out there in tech. It's quite a busy space, and that's because there's a big job to do. And certainly from a membership perspective, we really want to have the opportunity to welcome people into BCS and to play our part, I guess, in supporting as well. But STEM Recharge, so could you tell us a bit about the programme, where it came about and sort of who you're working with on it so far?
Yeah, so STEM Recharge, really exciting new programme. We have received some funding from the Government Equality Hub, and the target here is, it's twofold. So the target is to get more people, and this isn't just about women, this is about any gender who's taken caring related career breaks from tech and engineering, bringing them back into the sector, giving them support along that journey back to work, so they have the confidence, the skills, the knowledge and the connections to get back into the workforce. So that's the first side. It's actually supporting the career returners. And the second side is working with employers. So recognizing that, first of all, a lot of employers haven't even thought about career returners as a talent pool. And secondly, if they have, they're not quite sure how to reach them. They're not quite sure how to assess them, and they're not quite sure how to support them when they come into the organization. So that's what we're aiming to work with employers to help them to understand the talent pool better and to understand how to attract, support and retain them. So then there's a really nice overlay here, which is the geographic focus. And as we all know, I grew up in the north of England. I've been living in London a long time, but very much that's my heartland. Things are often centred around the southeast. It's the same with returner programmes so far. The returner programmes, a lot of the support has been very much south of England focused. So this programme is focused on the north of England, the Midlands and the north, and that's where we're putting the support.
Brilliant. And I know we've got many branch communities in all of those areas that you've talked about, so hence the link, and also a really strong base of employers that we're working with. But just to set the scene on the government side of the support, I mean, you've gone through the Equalities Hub, but have there been similar initiatives in the past, and how does this fit in the overall government programme at the moment?
So we've been running a similar programme, not sector focused, but across sectors up in Scotland with some funding from the Scottish Government over the last few years. And that has been very successful in getting out there, reaching people on career break and supporting them along that route back. In terms of the UK government, there was some funding a few years ago now, so back in 2017, 2018, but it was a bit broader based about returners. This is the first programme which has been focused on returners to STEM and having that government support, which is why it's particularly exciting. It very much ties in with the government agenda, both about levelling up, but about this whole building us up as a STEM and particularly a tech hub.
And I think the beauty of this as well, it's there's been a lot of support, hasn't there, about people entering the profession for the first time. You know, the DFE digital skills boot camps, something we're all familiar with, but this is different. This is a different group who've got experience already and have got lots of skills. So I suppose my question is, why is it, what sort of support do this group tend to need? And so I guess that's shaped how you're setting up the programme, really.
Yeah, totally. And this is, so we've now been working in this area for so long, we have a real sense of where the gaps are. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to fill the gaps from a returner perspective, and also provide support all the way through that return to work journey, both from the moment of thinking, I'd like to get back into tech and engineering, all the way through to applying, and then actually support when people are back in the organisation as well. That's also part of this programme. In terms of the support that's needed, I think one of the things that is really important to understand is, when somebody has been many years out of the workforce, and we are talking a lot of years here, sometimes people think, oh, well, maybe this is a couple of years. We have so many returners with STEM backgrounds who have come back in, who are being really successful after they've had career breaks of 15, even 20 plus years. What's really important is these are, and again, huge numbers of the majority of the people who are coming back in are women, because this is focused on caring related career breaks, and 90% or so of that group are female. So open to all genders, all genders, but a lot of the challenges are, focused on women. And what happens is they step out of the workforce, they say caring related reasons, they start to lose that sense of professional identity. They're saying, oh, I'm just a mum, or, I'm just a carer. This is somebody really talented professionals, but they lose that belief in themselves. And then they also lose the networks, they lose the contacts, they lose the vocabulary. So they feel very far out of the working world. So when they want to come back in, there's a sense of, where do I start? How do I do it? Combined with a lot of self-doubt, which is it even possible? Can I get back after such a long career break? So what we try to do, and what we've been really successful in doing, is working on all these aspects. So we're aiming to rebuild their confidence, to rebuild this aspect of confidence, which is their professional identity. So we're starting off the return to work support that we give the returners with career coaching. We then overlay. The next thing is, right, you start to get your confidence back, but it's a long time since you did a CV, since you did a LinkedIn profile, if you ever did a LinkedIn profile, if you had interviews. So provide the job skills support. And then, and again, then's when we get sector specific. You want to come back into tech, you feel really far out of it. The great thing is, and we know that, you don't need to fill the whole gap, but what you need to do is to leapfrog and say, what are the current trends now? What's going on? So we're working on developing a refresh week. We're not aiming, this isn't a boot camp. Plenty of people doing fantastic work on that. This is just an immersion week where we're getting the returners back into the tech world. We're going to have a whole series of speaker sessions, engagement, discussion, so people are updated on key topics. And we're going to match everybody up with a tech mentor, so they can get that sense of somebody who's in the world at the moment, have those conversations, get advice and tips, get interview practice, and support them back in. And then we're able to connect them with a whole variety of different opportunities that are there. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We know there's a huge amount of support. We know about the boot camps. We know about retraining. What we're trying to do is to give the returners support along that journey. And then we are very well aware that even if you get all that support, you're very ready to get back, you're knocking on the employer's doors, a lot of them are closed. And if you're listening,
that's going to be my next question. I mean, there's a ground preparation piece here, isn't there, with employers, in terms of you may not have considered this route. If you have, you may not realize that you need to give different types of support. So how is that working as part of this program?
So our message is always, there are challenges for the individual, but there are also challenges for the employer. And what we're trying to do is to recognize, acknowledge the challenges of bringing in somebody at an experienced higher level who hasn't done the job for 2, 5, 10, 15 years, and making it work. So what we are, the first thing that we're doing here as part of this program is we're holding insight events. Mm-hmm. And this is things that I haven't mentioned yet, is we're working in partnership with an organisation called STEM Returners, who has a lot of experience in the engineering sector, very much a partnership approach. And we are running events which are supported by the local combined authorities or city councils in Leeds, in Liverpool and in Birmingham. So just to flag dates, if anybody wants some details, Leeds is 24th of April, Liverpool is 25th of April, and Birmingham is 26th of April. Morning events, 9 till 11. Hopefully we can get a lot of interested employers in the room. And we are going to give a little bit of a briefing, and also we're going to get some local employers, returners along, employers who brought returners into the organisation. They can talk about the challenges and they can talk about the solutions. And that's what we're trying to do here. We are trying to highlight, not say it's easy, say it's a different form of experienced hire. You may be saying, well, how does this work? How does this work in terms of refreshing their technical skills? Where do we fit them? How do we pay a returner? What do we need to do differently? We're going to give a forum to start to answer those questions at these insight events. And then after that, we're going to have follow-on virtual training. So we're going to have training modules on how to attract and recruit returners, how to then support returners when they're in your organisation. And this will apply just as much. We're focusing this just as much on SMEs as on larger organizations. So don't feel this isn't for you if your recruitment needs are very small. It absolutely is.
And also regionally, I guess there are going to be some hot spots in terms of different types of role, depending on the sort of industry base and the mix. Have you got any examples of people who you know are going to be involved already, who've really kind of grabbed this with both hands?
Yeah, we have a lot. Well, I mean, can give some examples of the organisations who we're currently working with in the tech space. So in Liverpool, we're working with the Very Group, who've sort of very much got behind this. We've been doing a lot actually in retail tech. We work with Next, who are based sort of around the Leicester area. There's a lot of in Birmingham, actually, a lot of the engineering type companies are behind this. So people like Highways England, we've got involved, Network Rail. So we've got a mix of tech and engineering employers who are coming along to support. And then I was actually at a WISE event yesterday, Women in Science and Engineering, a lot of interest there from employers in coming along. So I think it's a great talent pool. And I think that's what we need.
Great.
There are huge skills gaps in tech. And this is a way to bring in experienced professionals. And I think let's get back to that message. This isn't about retraining people to come in at junior levels. What we're talking about here is bringing in tech professionals who have, 5, 10, sometimes 15 or 20 years of experience, and giving them a refresh, but being able to bring them back in at that mid to senior level, which is often where there are skills gaps, but B, often where any form of diversity starts to fall down, doesn't it, as you get up at higher levels in the organization.
Completely. And have you, I know we were chatting before, you've got a couple of examples of real success stories, haven't you, already from the work that you've done previously? Is there anything there that you wanted to share in terms, just to kind of paint the picture and the profile a bit more?
Yeah, I think there's some few really nice stories. I mean, there is, I was actually in there was a Sunday Times profile last Sunday, and it was talking about returners coming back in, very much focused there actually on people over 50. And there was a great returner who came back in on a soft cap program. She'd had an 18-year career break and is now back in and flourishing in a tech role. We've got some great women who have come back in on the Next IT program. And again, long career breaks, and they've come back in, they've got whole variety of experience. It's anything from sort of software development, program management, really across the board. And we've got people coming back in. We work with dunnhumby, they're coming back in as data scientists. So whole range of skills, experience that you can harness and tap into if you just think a little bit differently.
Brilliantly. And the employers, so presumably there's no limit to people, to employers and the number that you're looking for, because there'll always be an opportunity and always be somebody that you can connect them with, whether it's through this program or other. Is that right?
Exactly. And that is the joy. And this isn't, this STEM Recharge is not just focused on bringing people in then through returner programs. What we want to do here is to also reach SMEs and they're thinking, well, we're not about a program, but actually we just want to bring in great people. Bringing in returners can be a fantastic opportunity because it might be, if you're a local employer, you might get somebody with the sort of skills, experience, maybe you wouldn't normally be able to tap into. And it'll be a returner who's looking for something maybe a little bit different, maybe a little bit more flexibility, something more local, or just something that sounds exciting and different from what they did before. So you're able to connect with somebody, a great new hire. And all we're going to do here is give you this overlay of how can you support the individual rather than necessarily how do you do a big program around this. If you're a large employer, great, we can have that conversation. But just as relevant if you want to be more open-minded and you really value diversity in your hiring.
Yeah. And so that brings me back to the mentoring point that we mentioned earlier. I just think this is a big area for you, isn't it, in terms of the success of the programme, and something that, you know, we could potentially support also through the BCS community. I'm sure there'll be people who've got experience who'd be interested in getting involved. Can you just tell us what you're looking for in terms of the mentors?
Yeah, no, the role of the mentor is incredibly powerful, and we have had, so the programme we've been running up in Scotland, we've now brought well over 100 women back into the workforce, and we've matched them up with a mentor, and the role of that person to give you encouragement, to boost your skills, to give you that interview practice, and just to be a real source of support has been incredibly powerful. So what we're looking for with this programme, we're looking for people who are currently employed in tech roles. We're looking for people who have a significant amount of experience, because that's, you know, an important part is sharing your experience as a mentor, and who want to give back, and that's what this mentor role is about. So you may already do mentoring, in which case we'll provide some training, but it will be overlaying how to be a return to work mentor. Maybe you already mentor women, other people within your organization. But if you haven't been a mentor before, then this is another moment to come in and build your mentoring skills. So what we're asking for people to give at least 3 hours of your time. You can give more if you want. If you develop a relationship with your mentee, that's fantastic, but we're asking for 3 hours. We'll give you training, and you can be based anywhere to be a return to work mentor. As we say, the support itself is focused on the Midlands and the North, but if you're in the South, you want to get involved, then being a mentor here, we'd really, really value that too. And you can find out, I know we've put the link on the chat here, but to say, if you're watching this and you don't see that, if you go onto Women Returners website, you look under STEM ReCharge, there's a tab there for signing up as a return to work mentor, and we would hugely value that if you did want to sign up.
Brilliant. And we'll be going out also in our member communications, so that we can reach potential employers, potential mentors. And the other thing that I want everybody to think about, really, and we probably all know somebody who this could apply to, so it's encouraging those applications, isn't it? And I know there's not much time left. You've only just launched, but you've got quite a narrow window before this first cohort. So was it 17th of April?
Yeah, well, the two things in terms of dates to have in everybody's minds. So for the returners themselves, for the first cohort, which is when we're starting the support in May, it's apply by the 17th of April, but we are going to be running a second cohort to start in October. So people are finding out about this a bit later. There is going to be a second chance opportunity. So that's for the returner support. If you're an employer and you want to get behind this, those events we're running are 24th to 26th of April. We'll keep open registrations as long as we don't fill up our space until close to the time. But we'd like everybody to register as soon as they can to come along to that. So we're confident that we're going to get a big group along, and we're already starting to see registrations coming through, which is fantastic.
Brilliant. I think we've probably got the main points over, and hopefully we'll get some excitement and some interest from our members, and you'll get lots of inquiries and applications, which is the objective behind today. So from BCS perspective, I think, you know, the professional body is a really lovely soft landing for the returners coming into the space. It's a really good opportunity as well for us to connect our employers that we're working with new groups of people. So really hope that we'll see some new members coming from this initiative as well in due course, and I know that everybody at BCS will be right behind the initiative and really keen to see it succeed. So as I say, we've got the links in the chat. We'll be going out in member comms, and also on the Women Returners website there's all the information that you need. So it's been brilliant. Thanks so much, Julianne, for sparing the time.